Okay, Unit 7, Lecture 1C. Continuing progressivism, we're going to talk about elections more democratic, how they make elections more democratic now on the national level. They'll do this, maybe not making elections more democratic, but increasing voter participation, increasing democracy with the passage of the 17th Amendment, the ratification of the 17th Amendment. This comes up quite a bit today, and we'll talk about it in class, because the 17th Amendment allows direct election of senators. The people vote on senators after the 17th Amendment. A big change from before that, when the state legislatures chose the senators. So it used to be senators represented the state, not the people. All right, there's a difference. We should talk about it in class a little bit, okay? All right, so with the direct election of senators, we see a further increase in democracy achieved by the progressive era. Progressives in Congress are also going to pass two antitrust laws that you need to be aware of during this time. A trust, as far as we are concerned, is the same thing as a monopoly, okay? A trust is a group of corporations whose stock is controlled by a central board of directors, so the same people control this whole group of corporations. And since monopoly means a lack of competition, a trust is going to create a lack of competition. We use them interchangeably, okay? And these businesses could charge them whatever price they wanted, and no competition to drive the quality of the product, okay? So we're going to end up paying more for a less well-made product, okay? So these antitrust laws were intended to restore free competition to the American capitalism. Okay, remember, capitalism is when our money works for us. It's our economic system. Okay, the first of these laws is the Sherman Antitrust Act, and you need to know both of these. Okay, which made it illegal for businesses to set up monopolies, but the wording is very, very vague. Okay, unclear. It prevented any business structure that restrained trade. So initially, it's going to be used against the unions, okay, instead of corporations that it was intended for. So during Wilson's presidency, Congress will pass the Clayton Antitrust Act. This law outlawed price fixing, which is when corporations work together to set prices. And it's going to exempt union, or make it so that the unions aren't under the Sherman Antitrust Act. So it exempts unions from Sherman Antitrust Acts and makes it just businesses. Okay, at the local level, progressives are going to try to make city governments less corrupt, more efficient, more responsive to the needs of the people by adopting either a commission or council manager method of organization. These reforms also arose as a need to address the rapid urbanization that was occurring alongside industrialization. Okay, all the jobs are in by the city, all the factories are in by the city. People rush into the city, and they're building up and developing so fast that not only do they not have time to develop infrastructure and responsibility for infrastructure, but they're not developing a stable and democratic political system. Democratic, I'm talking about by participation here. Okay, so in the commission system, people elect a number of commissioners who act as a board to set city policy. Each commissioner is also a department head, and this system isn't used very often because a small board seems incapable of dealing with the issues facing cities today. In the council manager method, which is more widely used, voters elect a small city council that hires a professional manager to serve as the city's administrator. The city manager then appoints department heads and carries out the policies decided by the council. All right. The progressive era is also going to support women's suffrage, recognizing that women had been ignored in the previous century and in the promise of equality. The efforts of progressives, along with prominent suffragists like Susan B. Anthony, led to the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920, which gives American women the right to vote. The women's rights movement was the forerunner of other modern protest movements. Know that, especially the feminist movement, which organized now, the National Organization for Women, which continues to work for equal rights today. Some quick amendments, a list of amendments, I had them up there. The 16th Amendment, no, is income tax. 17th Amendment, direct election of senators. 18th is prohibition, we'll talk about further, and the 19th Amendment gives women the right to vote. End of the progressive era, we'll discuss more in class.